Hi, welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. I'm your host, Brian Koval. Before we get started, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you want to see me play your favorite deck or your spicy brew on the channel, I take donation deck lists. I'll do a deck tech, play a full Magic Online League, and help tune your list. If that sounds good, check out my contact info. It's in the video description below. Now let's go play some Magic.
Hello and welcome back once again to the BoshNRoll channel. It's a modern day, and this is a donation deck list from David Tobias. David is a Pittsburgh local. We've traveled to GPs together and stuff. I see him around all the time when the local game stores are open, I guess, outside of the COVID world. But yeah, he is a known modern specialist in the local community or a modern enthusiast, and he has basically been trying to make blue-black fairies work since Modern's inception. Uh, like when Bitter Blossom was unbanned was his Super Bowl, and it just didn't get anywhere. But that sort of blue-black tempo control archetype has been brought back with the new Rogues. This is currently one of the top standard decks, Thieves Guild Enforcer and Soaring Thought Thief. Thought Thief. Soaring Thought Thief. That one's a tongue twister. Soaring Thought Thief are like flash creatures. They're flash threats. They also mill your opponent a little bit. They get advantages when your opponents have a certain amount of cards in their graveyard. And Into the Story is your big payoff. This is a 7 mana draw 4, but it's a 4 mana draw 4 at instant speed if your opponent has 7 or more cards in their graveyard, which is a thing that these mill rogues do. And then if you're milling your opponent anyway, Drown in the Loch basically becomes a Doomblade Counterspell split card. Bitter Blossom, guess what? 1/1 black fairy rogue creature tokens with flying. Bitter Blossom does in fact make rogue tokens. So this is a pretty cool deck. This list is one that David pulled that put up a 5-0 in a modern league, and he made a couple adjustments to it and sent it to me to play. Zach Allen yesterday on Twitter said that this was the worst modern deck he's ever played, and let's hope we can be more on the 5-0 side than the worst modern deck I've ever played side. So let's get into this. Let's cast some Bitter Blossoms like it's 2009. Let's get after it. I'm on the play for round 1. I'm going to reveal my companion. This is, in fact, a Lurrus deck, which is pretty exciting. Might not be exciting for people who play the format all the time, but I like a Lurrus. So this hand is just like mono removal. If we're playing against like Prowess or some sort of deck like that, but they did not reveal Lurrus, so no guarantees there. I think this is a mulligan. Like if I knew my matchup was some sort of creature deck, this hand would actually be great. But I don't know that. Exile target card from a graveyard. So I could like just fetch basic swamp, cling to dust, and this is a cantrip, but nah. This hand is not much better, but I am gonna keep it. So this one has some blue interaction instead of black interaction, and I think the blue interaction's a little bit better. Okay, so I think I forced some negation this. I probably should have pitched into the story so I could spell snare the Sylvan Scrying. Alright, I'm gonna play Mystic Sanctuary tapped. Because I can get 3 mana to put Lurrus in my hand next turn if nothing else emerges. Okay, so there's some sort of Bluetron. Right, I have enough lands. I'm gonna get a Watery Grave right now. I would prefer to draw a spell over a land, but it was not meant to be. Yeah, they have this sort of start that this rogue deck should be able to just punish, but I'm not doing a very good job at that right now. So this was not a Tron land last turn. I feel like if they had a second Tron land, they would have played it to set up the Tron this turn. Though maybe it doesn't matter. Like, depending on how their hand sequence is, that just might not matter. Alright, that's cool. So, Chalice on 0, why? What do they think I have? What? Do they know something I don't? Nope, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know what that, Mishra's Bauble, I guess, would be the card that they're playing ahead of. I guess I just cast this Luris. I need to get black mana. So they could, like, Condescend Luris. Yeah, but if they did that, then they wouldn't be able to map. They're also in an awkward spot where they don't have the third Tron land in hand, or else it would be in play by now. Oh, okay. That's kind of a cool trick. I think they should have repealed first, because that would have been another draw. Like, they have Power Plant and Mine. Like, if that repeal or their draw step drew a second Mine instead of Tower, like, they could have had more information when they made their search, is what I'm saying. Jeez, these lands are killing me. All right, Luris, get in there. I'm gonna hardcast into the story pretty soon. Oh, a Shark Typhoon. Bummer. Graveyard, number of target creature cards with converted mana cost X or less. All right, so I'm 1 mana short of refiring this Luris right now. I'll do it someday. Yeah, this has just been Flood City. I mean, they're not exactly doing a great job over there, staying ahead. I could do I have 2 Mystic Sanctuaries? Yeah, there are 2. I thought so. I could Mystic Sanctuary back Force of Negation, but that's not really advancing my plan at all. I think I will do it now, though. So what I'm lining up here is I put Force of Negation on top. They did that in the wrong order. They should have let that resolve first. So blue, black, black. Yeah, so I was saying what I'm lining up here is put Force of Negation on top, and then I'm going to bring Luris back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then next turn I can pass with into the story up. Like if they play around Force of Negation, then I get to end step into the story. All right, so they did have a Condescend, and they had exactly enough mana for it to work. But condescending me here is 1 less Condescend for the end of the story. They did top 1 on their scry. So just imagine the same game if I had a 1-drop. Like just had a Thieves Guild Enforcer or a sort. Ooh. That's usually wrong, but it looks pretty good right now. I'm not going to wait till their turn. Like, I'm going to go while they're tapped out. Oh, I already played a land. That's true. Okay, so Fatal Push can mop up a shark. Archmage's Charm can steal a shark. Now let's see where this goes. They still don't have Tron. And it seems they don't have a spell to cast either. Or at least not when they want to cast on my turn. Alright, is this land going to be better in play long term, or if I cycle it into a spell? I think I have enough lands. So I can play Enforcer and Fatal Push and Archmage's Charm. Yeah, I have enough going on here. So now I can play the flash game that I actually want to be playing. Sure. So they can replay that Chalice on a different number now. That's a little bit tricky. Oh, they're just firing it back in on 0? Sure. Get a 0/0 shark. Yeah, they could have played it on some different number and gotten a much bigger shark. If that's something they wanted to do. I mean, I know that Chalice on 0 doesn't do anything. They might think that I have a handful of Mishra's Baubles. Maze Mind Tome, sure. Maybe I'm supposed to counter Tome there. Oh, I just noticed something that I'm sure every standard player already knows, is that Thieves Guild Enforcer cares if there's 8 cards in the graveyard. Into the Story cares if there's 7. That's slightly annoying. So I could go into the Story right now. I can go into the Story and cycle Fetid Pools. And I can Force of Negation backup if I want to, depending on what they do here. Alright, so I'm going to cycle Fetid Pools and try to find a less good blue card to pitch. Alright, didn't find it, but that's fine. So we do get to go into the Story here. They get a 5/5. I can kill that. I have a variety of ways to kill that, actually. So my Mystic Sanctuaries are all spent, so playing a land here, there's no more swamps, there are more islands. So I'll play Misty Rainforest and then or another rogue. Okay, yeah. So this is time for Bitter Blossom. And then I'm gonna Bloodsheath Thirst this shark. And I can Fatal Push this one, but I think I should save Fatal Push for something better. Yeah, I can hold up Cling, Fatal Push, and Hardcast Force of Negation, and just ignore these sharks for a little while. This plan is starting to come together on turn 9. Imagine if I like actually curved out into this. This would not even be close. Can you imagine? Bitter Blossom versus Shark Typhoon, the classic modern matchup. I'm gonna get a tapped Watery Grave here while the getting's good. All right, Battle Cruiser operational. All right, Drown on the Lock. Okay, now we're doing it. It's starting to look like it's happening. So I could attack with Thieves Guild Enforcer, but then any instant spell they could cast just eats it in combat with the Shark Typhoon. So I'm just gonna pass and play the mill deck now. Hope they don't have an Emrakul the Aeon Storm in their deck. Repeal targeting Bitter Blossom. I think I want to cast Force of Negation on that. They have 10 cards in their graveyard. Yeah, I'll save Drown in the lock in case they have a creature spell I care about. Like, I don't know, this deck could have Urza in it or something. It's unclear what this deck could have. Alright, so I'm gonna chump the big shark. Oh, I kinda fucked up here. I should have played my removal spell before blocks, so I knew it was gonna happen. Yeah, messed that one up a little bit. Right, so I can end step Cling to draw a card. Repeal, targeting Bitter Blossom again. Counter target spell. Yeah, if they have a Force Negation of their own. Yeah, this hardcast Shark Typhoon is definitely outmuscling my Bitter Blossom. Imagine that. Also Cyclonic Rift. Sure. That's a lot of sharks. I guess I should draw a card. It was a creature card, gain 3, otherwise draw a card. So I want to target something that's not a creature. And I think I want to target from my own graveyard. Because I care about their graveyard, I don't care about my own. Other than escaping Cling. Which I guess does matter a bit. Okay, my hand is full of Bitter Blossoms. I'm going to take out one of these bigger sharks. And I'll fetch here. Because I should get the Sunken Hollow. Not sure what I'm even looking for here, but it definitely wasn't bitter or Flooded Strand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can go to 1. I guess I can exile a creature to gain 3 life. Yeah, this is bad news. They have gotten up under me. I could Cling to draw a card right now. Cling, drew another Cling. Whatever, all in. This is the play I have available. Maybe I should Cling and exile Lurrus right now. Just get my 3 life before their counter spells are online. Alright, F6. Dead to most things. Do they have the Cyclonic Rift overload? Yeah, alright. Okay, died to a hardcast Shark Typhoon because my hand was too reactive. Got it. Alright, Mystical Dispute definitely coming in. I like Thoughtseize here. Not sure about. I don't think I need Surgical Extraction. These Blood Chief's Thirsts are pretty bad. We saw Maze Mind Tome and Chalice of the Void, so Spell Snare seems fine. Chalice of the Void's actually kind of a beating if they cast it on a coherent number. Fatal Push, not super important. I might want it later. No, like taking out sharks does matter. Gotta figure out how many of those I actually want in the deck. Because Drown does a similar thing. I think maybe Cling. Like, my opponent's not really using their graveyard. Cling is just like a value spell. Okay, now I know I need a hand that can apply pressure. So I will look for one of those. This hand does have Enforcer and Thoughtseize. It needs a blue source desperately. How many of those do I play? 1, 4, 9, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I play 22 of them. Oh, this is so like about 1 in 3 cards, slightly better than 1 in 3 cards in my deck is a blue source. I'm gonna keep this. It might be crazy, but I think that this Thieves Guild Enforcer is a good enough card. Just having this 1-drop get in there is important. And Thoughtseize is not a bad card either. I don't think there's any counterspell they could have if I pass the turn. Like, there's no reason to main phase this. I'm going to cast the Thoughtseize on turn 2. Okay, Relic can control both players' graveyards. Versus mine or his tower. You love to see it. Get out of here. Island. Fuck. Alright, that's fine. Calculated risk. Wormcoil Engine, map, remand. It's a lot of Maze Mind Tomes. So they could start scrying right away with Maze Mind Tome, and I can't strip it. Like, I could play the long game and take Wormcoil Engine. And I feel like by the time they have 6 mana, I'll be able to answer Wormcoil Engine. I'm going to take the Remand. Because I need to get up under them. Like, I need to draw a blue source and then sneak through what they're up to. Come on, blue source. I deserve this. I took a calculated risk, and it's been punished. I don't know that this hand was even that bad. So far I've had 2 looks at a 1 in 3. So we're basically on expectation until this draw step. If this draw step bricks on a blue source, then we are below expectation. Shit. All right. Well, that was like a pretty good one to find. If we're not, if that's one of the best non-land cards I could find, I guess. Gemstone Cavern deck. Jealous. So they can make a 2/2 shark this turn, or they could just draw 2 cards. Got there. Slightly below expectation. So I'm gonna use the Thought Thief. If they draw another card, I'll just put it in. Yeah, while they're tapped out, I'll sneak that in. And they're starting to pull ahead. They're pretty close to this Wormcoil Engine. Found a Tron land on turn 5. I mean, it's still good. Mostly doesn't even matter. Now we're playing Magic. All right, so they mill 2 for that. I have Fatal Push for a Shark, if they have a Shark. So I think I want to play the Bitter Blossom. I can protect it with Mystical Dispute, or I can just hold up Mystical Dispute for the Wormcoil Engine. All right, I think that's better. Like, there's this Devil I know in their hand. Why would I play into one that I don't know? Like, if I had 4 mana that I could, like, cast Bitter Blossom and play Cryptic Command to get the Wormcoil auto play, that's a different story, but just leaving myself dead to this 6/6 that I know about is not a good plan. All right, the lands keep coming and they don't stop coming. All right, so now I can Fatal Push a Shark and still cast Bitter Blossom, and still hold up Mystical Dispute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna pass here again. Like, getting Bitter Blossom into play would demand some activity out of them, but I don't really want to force activity right now because their activity is stronger than mine. Like, I know the minimum thing that their hand is capable of is casting Wormcoil Engine, and even that is kind of hard to beat. They can assemble Tron next turn. Oh, they can assemble Tron. All right. Well, that's not the card I fight over here. All right, Snapcaster Mage is not a rogue, but it is a threat. That is a rogue. All right, they have 29 cards left in their deck. We're halfway there. It's attacking the shit out of these deck points. So now they have Tron, and this Mystical Dispute is way out of here. So is Wormcoil Engine still the play? And if it is, do I even fight over it? Oh, they're hard casting a Shark Typhoon. I'm gonna just pop in this Thought Thief right now. If there's gonna be a counter war over Thought Thief, I don't want them to get sharks out of it. All right, that's in play, unfortunately. Like, tapping out for Cryptic Command on this board, like, they have so much mana. They've shown me Remand, Condescend. They probably brought in, or we see Negate. I don't know. I might just have to mill them. Okay, so they finally popped the Relic. Pretty sure I can win a fight over Bitter Blossom this turn. Like, they would need multiple counter spells for that. I can attack with Snapcaster. Oh, they are repealing nothing. Oh, wait. The repeal is not the card that I care about here. I care about the 3/3. So like I could just replay this Thought Thief as another rogue trigger. Or I could Mystical Dispute this, Fatal Push the 3/3, and attack with a bunch of things. That actually seems pretty good. Dispute that. Push the 3/3. I mean, my pants are down, as they say, to any like banger spell now. But let's get these mills in while I can get them. I think mill is my only reasonable path to victory here. I can also get Mystic Sanctuary and rebuy Fatal Push if I need to deal with some sharks. Oh no, Academy Ruins is in this deck. That makes it hard to deck them. Oh, they also have Ugin. Yep, super dead. Okay. Yeah, so I kept a risky hand there, and that game still ended up pretty close. Like if I had hit my blue source on time, I think we would have just steamrolled them, but obviously I kept a risky hand. Probably should have mulliganed. Did not follow my own rule of never keep a sketchy hand in the London Mulligan world. So, lesson learned. On to the next match. But I'm on the play in round 2. We are both Luris decks. I'm going to keep this. I have a Fatal Push into Bitter Blossom here with all sorts of counterspell backup. That seems pretty good. Oh no, is this the mirror? This is looking kind of mirrory. Oh, it's Delver. That's fine. So I will Fatal Push the shit out of this Delver. And then cast Bitter Blossom. And hope they don't have Force of Negation. Oh, this pause. Alright, cool. Bitter Blossom's in. Now let's see what happens from here. This Bitter Blossom is usually pretty crushing in blue mirrors. Yeah, that showed up just a little bit too late. I guess they might have had it last turn, that just didn't cast it. And now my walls are up. Oh, Drown in the Lock is a great draw here. They don't know about it. So like they're incentivized to make play this turn because they see the Cryptic command and they know I'll have access to it next turn. So they're incentivized to make a push, but they don't know that I just drew Drown in the Lock. So if they have like a creature they could cast this turn, that's probably what they want to be doing. Wow, Thought Scour yourself against Rogues. Yes, please. I'm not going to get baited on Force of Negation on a Thought Scour. Like, no chance. I guess they also don't know that I'm Rogues. They could think that I'm Faeries. Yeah, I've not done anything particularly roguish yet. Though Luris means that I'm not playing Cyanabuna or Mistbind Click, which are kind of reasons to play Faeries. So I don't know, like you have to be operating on a pretty high level thinking about like tier 3 decks for that to be a consideration. But it is there. So now I have to decide if I want to be attacking. Oh, they're just bolting my face. Sure. All right, Cryptic Command's online. Like, the reason not to attack would be if they are Death Shadow. I don't want to give them extra, like, loss of life. But at the same time, like, I gotta win this game. So I'm definitely attacking there. Like, Bitter Blossom, the advantage steamrolls over, or like snowballs over time. So you have to push the advantage when you have it. Let those balls roll or something. I'm gonna use the end step here to try to get a tapped Watery Grave. If they bolt me again, I'll Force of Negation. Snapcaster. So Snapcaster is probably gonna get Lightning Bolt. I don't want to use my Drown on the Lock on Snapcaster Mage because the body itself will just trade off with a Fairy. And that I don't particularly care about. If they do have Stubborn Denial, it's gonna work. I can't do anything about that from here. I didn't have enough islands to get a Mystic Sanctuary there. That's why I didn't do that. Archmage Charm. That's the card I would have gotten back with Mystic Sanctuary. That's lucky. If I had drawn a land this turn, I would have put Lurrus in hand and left up Drown in the Lock, but I'm not gonna tap out of all of this interaction to get Lurrus in my hand. There's plenty going on already. A land would be great though, because then I can hold up double counterspell. Yeah, game changer. Bloodchief Thirst. So that pushes 2 damage. I am still winning the race. That's not what I'm going to spend my counterspells on. Two cards left in their hand. In the end, like if they don't do anything, in the end step I could draw 2, but that taps me down. And like I am dead to double bolt in this situation. Ooh, I could just steal that. Yeah, with 1 card left in their hand, there's not a whole lot I'm worried about. So let's take that. So if they do have bolt, I go to 4, upkeep go to 3. Snapcaster Mage. Targeting what? Do they even have an instant in their graveyard? Oh, Thought Scour. Okay. All they can do is, in response to that, is Thought Scour. I mean, that's good. They snuck the Snapcaster Mage under my Cryptic Command. That's what they're playing around here. They still lose Delver, but they at least do get something. Ooh, Claim to Fame. Alright, so they can Fame out of their graveyard. Gets +2/+0 and haste. So I have to respect that a little bit. Alright, Delver, flip. Well, it'll flip next turn because I just drew Mystic Sanctuary. I'll put Archmage Charm on top, which guarantees the Delver will flip. And then I'm going to attack with these Faeries. So I'm holding up the cryptic that they know about. I guess cryptic is pretty important, like the ability to tap draw. I was weighing the like putting Luris in hand versus holding up cryptic. All right, Black Cliffs is good. That means that we can't lose this turn. Because if their hand was like double spell, if it was like burn spell or removal spell plus creature plus flashback fame, we could have been in a bad spot. But them making their land drop means I don't have to worry about that. They could still draw a Fiery Islet. I don't think they would have done that if they didn't, or if their hand did anything important. At least not here. I think they would have made their plays and tried to figure it out later. So I can just trade off my Delver for one of their Snapcasters. Oh wow, they didn't attack. What's going on over there? Guess maybe they decided that attacking is a losing line. Like if we go to an empty board where I have Bitter Blossom and they have nothing, they're gonna lose. All right. So I can attack for 6. What does that do? Like they can play Luris and Fame Luris, and then they have a 5-power lifelink creature. I can Drown in the Lock. Yeah, I have Drown in the Lock and Archmage Charm. Does attacking with this fairy change the clock? So attacking for 5 puts them to 3, then they're dead to 3 fairies or to just Delver. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna just leave one of the fairies back because this doesn't change the clock and it makes me safer. Yeah, alright, so they're dead on board in a variety of different ways, and I have 2 interactive spells. Blackcleave Cliffs, love it. I think we're all right here. So if they play Luris, they've already made their land drop. So if they go for Luris and they want to Fame Luris, I just kill Luris in response with Drown in the Lock. If they play Luris and Monastery Swift Spear, then they don't have lifelink and they're dead to Delver. Yeah, okay. Pretty sure I have this covered. I can also just steal Swift Spear before combat with Archmage's Charm that they know about, so that's not an out. I don't care about Delver out of the graveyard. Yeah, pretty sure we got this. Like the best thing that their hand could be right now is like Luris Bolt Bolt. All right, that doesn't matter. I guess they can give it haste, but I can kill it in response or take it in response. Ooh, that's even better. So just easy blocks here. I'm not going to get punked by a lightning bolt in this situation. That's why I left the fairy back. So if the last card in their hand is lightning bolt, they oh no, they don't even have triple red because they need red for Fame, red for a Grim Lavamancer, red for lightning bolt, and they only have 2. That's not even an out. I'll take that. All right, what's in your hand that does 5 and isn't Luris? It's also weird that they did this post-combat because this does more damage by attacking for 3 than it does for tapping. Though I guess if they're trying to tap it to pick off Delver and try to get another turn out of the game. All right, yeah, they were just trying to get rid of Delver. Okay, they got ferried out. Dead with Luris in hand, and mine is still in exile. This was a pretty cool game. This felt like old Luris Legacy, which a lot of people didn't like, but I mean, the format was toxic, but the Luris mirrors were great. Right, Dispute, Bloodchief's Thirst. I like those. I don't think I want Thoughtseize or any such nonsense. I don't want Surgical. Soul Guide Lantern. It's like, maybe. I don't know. We saw Claim to Fame and Luris as cards that use their graveyard. I'm not convinced on that. So I definitely want, or I guess they also had Drown in the Lock, which uses my graveyard. But this doesn't exile my graveyard. It exiles each opponent's graveyard. So that's not even helpful. All right, so I definitely want Bloodsheath Thirst, and I probably want Mystical Disputes. And what are the cuts for those? I think Force of Negation is not super important in a matchup like this. It's a 2-for-1 in the wrong direction that uh, and most of their things they care about are creatures. Cling to Dust actually seems amazing. Just the ability to gain 3 life against Delver. Really good. That can also help me control my own graveyard, so Drown in the Lock is less effective for them. Spell Snare. I saw Luris and 1-drops. So I didn't see. Oh, I saw Snapcaster Mage. That's a pretty good card. Have to assume there's 2s in there because with a Luris deck, 2 is the top of the curve. Like all your best cards are going to cost 2. I just want all of my removal and counterspells and interaction. I could cut Cryptic as a 4-drop. It's just kind of unwieldy compared to this other stuff. Or maybe I just get rid of, just don't bring in one of the Mystical Disputes and keep my top end. Yeah, I think that's fine. If there's a game 3 and they show me more about their deck, I'll have better information to sideboard differently. This hand's great. Yeah, I don't have a 1-drop. I do have 1 mana removal though, into a number of flash threats and options. If they just play Delver here, it's dead. Oh, were they just playing around Stifle? I don't know what that was. All right, I'm just gonna play my land and play it the safe way. Like I could play a fetch land, try to bluff something or whatever, but I think in a matchup like this, it's gonna come down to mostly what happens on board. And like bluffing on turn 1 or losing 2 life for the opportunity to bluff on turn 1, like no. So I suspect they'll take one of my Thought Thieves here, because that's how I'm actually winning the game. But I also am not totally sure about their entire deck yet. All right, I guess Drown makes a lot of sense. That is the most versatile card here. And I'm going to play around Drown in the Lock by putting this. If they fetch in my end step, I'll Thought Thief in response. Or if they do it right now. I just want to get this thing into play. Like, they've seen my hand, they know I don't have any instants other than this. There's nothing to bluff, so I'm just gonna make sure my spell resolves. Like, they could bolt it. They do have lightning bolts. That's a removal spell that doesn't exist in standard, where this rogues deck is great. Alright, so they can't play. Alright, there's Luris in hand. I was about to say they can't play like Liliana of the Veil or anything because they are a Luris deck. I'm not going to put my Luris in hand yet because I still have things to do with my mana. And putting Luris in my hand just exposes it to discard, which they've shown me they play. Unless they have a Mishra's Bauble in their hand, the Luris they just wished for isn't super effective. I kind of hope they just play it. That would be too much to hope for, I'm sure. Alright, so they can Drown in the Lock this if they have it. I mean, Bolt will get it too. Or just nothing. That Bitter Blossom was an insane draw. Oh, I got an attack in. Let the milling commence. That puts them, I guess they were already at Into the Story graveyard, but now they're at take an extra damage level of graveyard. Snapcaster Mage, Lightning Bolt. Okay, so they wanted me to mill them. Fair enough. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they do have Luris in hand, so fair play. Alright, so that's dead. I'm going to play my Bitter Blossom. And I'm going to kill Snapcaster Mage. And I can't. Oh shit, I just fucked up. I was going to end step put Drown in the Lock on top with Mystic Sanctuary, but I don't have 3 islands, so I just punted that. I lost track of my resources, and I just used my answer for Luris on this irrelevant other card. Whoa. I need to top deck an answer to Luris now. Whoopsie doozies. Oh, and Relic. Great. So now that line, it doesn't even exist starting next turn. So they can just pop their Relic in response to the Sanctuary. So yeah, my 1-turn plan I punted. My 2-turn plan they had covered. I can still draw Into the Story and reload right now. That would be great. I have 1 window here. Cling to Dust, not bad. Because that can at least get rid of their Snapcaster Mage. Oh, I actually can fetch Mystic Sanctuary right now while they're tapped out, put Drown in the Lock on top. Oh, why did I even do that? That doesn't make any sense because they have Relic. They can just pop it. That was so bad. Oh, I'm playing poorly. Yeah, there's a lot to keep track of. I have not played a lot of Rogues or a lot of Modern in general lately, and I'm forgetting how all these cards interact with each other. Whoop, 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 whoop. So they don't get to attack with... Oh, they can attack with Delver. Alright, I'll block it. So I do want to set a stop in the end of combat, so I can Cling to Dust that Delver before they can cast it. One, two, three, 4, 5. Well, Chief's Thirst is the other one. Alright. Leaving a Thought Thief in my graveyard. That's a Lurisable thing. So they can pop their Relic to deny me gaining 3 life. Alright, okay, yeah, they can just tap their Relic, exiling their own Delver to deny it. Alright, that works too. So I'm drawing Drown in the Lock. They kind of need to pop their Relic if they don't want to get drowned. So I can put Luris in hand. Alright, I have Luris now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Every target creature with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of cards in its graveyard. Alright, so they can pop Relic in response to Drown in the Lock to fizzle it. They're probably going to draw a card here with Islet. So we're sort of dancing around here. Like next turn, if I draw land, that would be pretty exciting. Because the land lets me put Luris on the stack, threaten Thought Thief. I guess that doesn't change anything. Like if I draw land, I get to actually do everything versus just bluff everything or represent everything. Croxa, shit. That was a really unfortunate draw because now my hand is going to be empty. Wow, that sucks. I'm actually just dead to that. Yep. That's gonna leave me hellbent facing down Luris and Croxa. Yeah, that all lined up pretty poorly. So time for game 3. Yeah, I made a number of small errors in that game, and these like Delver Mirror kind of like tempo mirrors are not where you can afford to make mistakes. So Surgical Extraction, did that get better? Thoughtseize might be better. Soul Guide Lantern. Oh, Relic is such good technology for this particular matchup that they had. Maybe Thoughtseize is good, like if I can catch them on their Luris turn. Oh, this is tough. I'm actually going to get off Mystical Dispute, bring in a Thoughtseize, and I still think Into the Story is the best card in both of our decks. Like, of all 150 of the cards being played right now, Into the Story is the best one. It's gotta figure out the best way to leverage it. So, Drown in the Loch, although it is one of my best cards, they've shown me that they have Relic to control that, which makes it one of the worst cards. Croxa is another thing we can target with Spell Snare. And I want all my creature threats. All right, I'm just gonna go 2 Thoughtseize. It's better than none. So this does have Into the Story, which is the best card. I'm gonna keep this. They've shown me Inquisition of Kozilek, but they've not shown me Thoughtseize. Like, this hand has protection from Inquisition, because I just flash out Enforcer, and then they can't take Into the Story. It is awkward how well my opponent's deck uses their graveyard, though, because I'm just incidentally milling them, which is normally great for me, but in this matchup is bad for me. After last game, where I played the basic swamp and ended up not being able to Mystic Sanctuary, I am just going to go ahead and get the Watery Grave on turn 1. Ooh. That's pretty good. I'll offer the trade with their Delver and see what they think about this card. All right, no respect. They have shown me Remand. So I'm going to flash another one of these, mill them for 4. Or no, they didn't show me Remand. That was the opponent before that. All right, Inquisition of Kozilek, we did it. Card advantage in more ways than one. Please cast your Inquisition. Yeah, so Into the Story just became a 5 for 1 instead of its usual 4 for 1. And this might seem like I'm like joking or memeing, but I'm not. The against the decks with discard spells. Oh yikes, that was fucked up. That's so much worse than Inquisition of Kozilek. But anyway, against the decks with discard spells, like trying to mulligan to like a perfect 5 versus just like a presentable 7 is something that I don't normally do. Like I'll just keep a 7. There's been so many times against discard decks where I just play like a hand with like 6 lands and a Delver, and I play the Delver on turn 1, then they Thoughtseize my 6 lands, and life is good. And that's kind of what's going on here too. I'll get the other Watery Grave tapped. That was probably my best draw. Yeah, so getting rid of that Delver is a big deal. I think I do want to attack, offer this trade to get cards in their graveyard. All right, they didn't want to take the trade. That's fine. Hopefully I can go into the story next turn. If they ever cast this Inquisition in their hand. It would be really smart of them to wait until after the end of the story to do it. But I don't know if they have that like awareness. Like they see 3 cards, they know I played around on the lock, they want to get this Luris activated. So I guess it depends on what their hand can do otherwise. Alright, Swiftspear gives them some value out of Inquisition at least. They're still not taking it. I guess they're waiting for me to get my Luris before they Inquisit me. Oh, Thoughtseize. That's dangerous. Alright, so now I'm in the position where I don't want to be blocking. Or I don't want to attack because I want to block. Like trading off with Snapcaster from this position is fine. Drown in the lock, targeting that. Okay, this gives us a nice window. Am I dead on board? So Fame, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not dead on board, but I am in bad shape. So I'm going to fetch the Mystic Sanctuary and put Fatal Push on top. Then I'll go into the story. Alright, hope I'm not dead. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If they can cast 2 spells or 1 lightning bolt, I am dead. Or 2 more spells. I guess they can't cast 2 more spells. They need lightning bolt. Remember before they changed the companion rule when Luris could just come into play right now and cast Delver? That was messed up. Archmage Charm is pretty good against this Swiftspear board that they have. Like if I can Charm plus push, guess we'll see if they're ready to fire off this Inquisition yet or not. I guess I didn't do the math of just having a 2-drop. Like if they play some 2-mana creature and then Fame it. So like Snapcaster Mage in for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm at 1. Shit. I should stop saying words because they always have the thing. So this puts me to 1. Oh wait, they can... Oh, that's weird. Are they gonna... Oh, they can flashback claim on Monastery Mentor. Or Monastery Swiftspear. And then they can Inquisition me and attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, that's the same amount of damage, but they now have a way better board state. So they're probably going to take Fatal Push would be my guess. So I can take a Swiftspear, block a Snapcaster Mage. Oh, that was good. So like I don't need to go to 1 anymore. Though Thought Thief does just eat Snapcaster Mage. Alright, so I'm dead if they top deck Lightning Bolt. I'm actually doing okay here if they don't. So I'm going to get Mystic Sanctuary. And I'm going to put Into the Story on top of my deck. And then I have to wait for them to untap. Then I can gain control of one of these. Actually, maybe I should wait in case they cast a spell. Then I get the prowess trigger too. So in combat, take 1. Here come the attacks. Oh wait, what the fuck am I talking about? Why did I think I why did I think that I could survive this? Yeah, in my brain I just like, oh, I know what I did. I thought in my head I was like thinking of Archmage's Charm as a 2-for-1, but forgetting that Thought Thief was just a block. Ooh, I gotta get my head on right. So I was actually just dead there. I don't think I had a play. I could have cast the Bloodchief Thirst. Yeah, it was 1 mana short of all the plays I want to make. So if I didn't fetch, what happens? So like if I'm at 2 life instead of 1, and I steal a Swift Spear, and I Bloodchief Thirst one of the Snapcasters, I can block the Snapcaster with Swift Spear, and if they didn't draw a spell, I'm at 1, and I can untap and take the other Swift Spear. Okay, so there was a line available there, maybe. Ugh. Remember to eat a healthy breakfast, kids. Like, my brain is just not working. Those Lurrus mirrors or Lurrus matchups, basically the player who plays better is going to win them most of the time. And that was not me that time. That's for sure. This hand's great, though. This is our first Thieves Guild Enforcer into Bitter Blossom Curve. I am on the draw, though. My opponent kept 7 and played Turn Timber Symbiosis. This certainly feels like it could be Oops All Spells. It could be like just some deck that plays. I mean, like Turn Timber Symbiosis could be in any number of like Elves or Chord of Calling sort of decks, but I mean, Oops All Spells is the scariest of them. I wish I really knew how modern Oops All Spell even works. Like I know that like Vengevine and Salvage Titan are involved, but like I don't know it intimately enough to know if Thieves Guild Enforcer milling them for 2 is something that is good. I do know that Thieves Guild Enforcer milling Scryed cards is good. So let's hope they just top the Serum Visions. Alright, they top bottomed. Good enough. I get to mill 2. It gives me a little bit of information about what they're looking for. I'll also know more about their deck when I do that. If this is Oops All Spells, the matchup's probably good. I have so much disruption. Still scary though. Always a little scary. So I get to mill their Scryed card here. Oh, oh wow. They wanted that card badly enough that it's worth Manamorphosing and just losing the mana and spending a Spirit Guide. Oh, they're Neoform. Okay, so it was probably Neoform was the actual card. Unless you control 2 basic lands. So it's much more important to me to have Archmage's Charm up next turn than it is to have Bitter Blossom in play this turn. So I'm going to play the Sunken Hollow and get my attacks in. Milling Allosaurus Rider and Grizzlebrand's kind of interesting. Like, how many Grizzlebrands do they play? I don't even know. Well, they're going for it. Yeah, that must have been Neoform on top of the deck that they deemed as worth spewing their entire their Spirit Guide and their Manamorphose for. Oh, there's Grizzlebrand. Let's find out if I'm dead. And I'm dead to this 8/8 Grizzlebrand, even if I'm not dead to their combo. Though I guess if they go like too deep and I can fight a counter, or they just played a they've played 2 Summoners packs, so they're definitely not planning on passing the turn. Archmage's Charm is target player draws 2 cards. I'm just saying. It's weird that they're just exiling these spirit guides at random intervals instead of like when they're ready. But I'm sure it doesn't matter. That's what I'm being told here by the way they're playing. Wild Cantor. This plays Lab Maniac. Yeah, so they cast Lab Man, then they draw a 7 again, and then they win. All right, you got me. So they won that game because they were on the play. Now we bring in the Thought Seizes and Aether Gusts and Mystical Disputes. Do we want the Surgicals too? I mean, probably. That could mess up their combo turn, right? Like they play a Nourishing Shoal, they go to draw 7, I exile the rest of their Nourishing Shoals. That at least messes with them a little bit. Okay, Cling to Dust, Bloodchief's Thirst. All bad. Spell Snare is great. Drown in the Lock, medium. Fatal Push, bad. Force of Negation, very good. The story is probably medium here. Like, this game is not going to go very long. Bitter Blossom is probably actively bad. And I have to win the game somehow, so I have to leave in some number of Bitter Blossom. But I will bring in the rest of this stuff. I'm leaving in all my flash threats, the Snapcasters, like all of the creatures, basically. Do I want Soul Guide Lantern? I don't think that does anything. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Alright, now we know we're playing against Neoform. It informs the mulligan decision a little bit. So I can have Counterspell starting turn 3. It might be too late. Oh, and this Mystic Sanctuary comes into play tapped. This is definitely a mulligan. I'll keep this. It has 2 forces and 2 blue cards. It needs a land though. Like desperately needs a land. If I can draw a land and hold up Thought Thief or Aether Gust, that's great. This Aether Gusting a Allosaurus rider is pretty cool. Because then they have to pitch another card to cast it. On deck, land, any land, ship a land, show me a land. Alright, we drew the land. Game on. So now I have a threat. The threat enables this counterspell. I have 2 other counterspells that are already live. Manamorphose, okie dokie. Ooh, the old Manamorphose, nothing go. Love it. Just cycle. Alright, now we're beaten down, gaining value, and holding up 3 counterspells. Like I can cast both forces at plus Aether Gust or Drown in the Lock. So my whole hand being blue is beautiful here. Noxious Revival, getting back, Pact of Negation. Okay, that makes me think that they're going to try to go for it, and I will probably end up with winning the counter war. With them having to pay for a Pact of Negation next turn. All right, so I'm letting Pact resolve. Now they have 2 cards left in their hand. One of them's Neoform, and I have 2 Force of Negations. And now they have to pay for a Pact that they can't pay for. Yep, GG. All right, work through that one nicely. Is there anything better than Bitter Blossom? Because this card is really, truly not good in this matchup at all. Just don't think anything else is better. I guess they just cast Noxious Revival, so Cling to Dust has some utility. All right. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. It's like something versus basically nothing. Reveal my Luris. This hand is nice. So I can Thoughtseize on turn 1, and then Thieves Guild Enforcer holding up Spell Snare on turn 2. Spell Snare hits Neoform. It does not hit Eldritch Evolution. Oh, I'm going to keep for sure. They went to 6. Just hope I don't get turn 1'd. Because you can't force some negation of Thoughtseize. At least, I mean, you can, but I don't recommend it. I wonder if this deck plays Veil of Summer. I hope not. Okay, what do you got? 2 Riders in Eldritch Evolution, Force of Negation, and Summoner's Pact. So Eldritch Evolution is definitely the take here. Like that's the payoff. They're gonna have to find another enabler. So yeah, that's the one. And that cuts down their options. Like that's one evolution down, and I have Neoform covered. This they have Pact of Negation, so I don't really have anything covered. But I am eventually gonna have 3 mana this game, like if I live that long. This is a weird hand that they kept. Maybe it's just a bad mulligan, but unless I don't understand the complete implications of Summoner's Pact, this doesn't look like a good hand to me. Alright, so I actually, if they play a 2-drop, I can snare it. If they don't, I can Thought Thief. Or they'll just concede. Yep, a well-placed Thoughtseize for the win. We take those. I am on the play in round 4, and we have the Enforcer into Bitter Blossom curve on the play. So that is a keep all day, every day. Let's hope that this is a matchup where I actually get to do that. Oh, good. Gemstone Cavern. So this is some sort of balls to the wall combo deck with Giver of Runes, so it's creature based. It's good to know, I guess. I have no idea what this deck is. Is this Hammer Time? That's probably what's happening. Like Giver of Runes, red mana, and Gemstone Caverns. I think this is the Colossus Hammer deck. Skyclave Apparitions, Chart a Course. Maybe not. I don't know what the fuck's happening. They have the Brewer's advantage over there. I think I still attack. I don't know. And I'm going to get Bitter Blossom online rather than hold up Thought Thief. Like Thought Thief I can hold up in the future. Bitter Blossom's got to go now if it's going to do anything. I would love to draw an untapped blue source. Holding up Archmage's Charm would make me feel so much better about this game. Alright, I got half of my wish. Oh, what the fuck? Moto just lagged and I clicked through combat. Whoops. Merchant of the Veil, Seasoned Pyromancer. This deck is crazy. Oh my god, I don't know what's happening. Okay, so now we're getting a pretty good picture of what's in their deck. And I'm pretty sure I want to play this Agadeem's Awakening as a land. I would not like to pay 3 life. Maybe I should just like hold up Cryptic or Archmage Charm plus Fatal Push. Like this is clearly some sort of creature deck. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. This fairy deck looks pretty good when it has the perfect curve and my opponent doesn't interact with me in any way. They're probably some sort of graveyard combo deck. Open the armory. Search for an aura or equipment. Cleansing Wildfire, Skyclave Apparition. You may put an aura card from your hand onto the battlefield attached to enemy researchers. Alright, so this is definitely a combo deck. It's just I haven't seen the payoff yet. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, okay. They're doing something. Oh, they're making Young Peasy tokens. Okay. Fair enough. If they double block, I can Fatal Push one. But do I even want to do that? Do I care? No. I'd rather hold up Fatal Push. Just because I'm not sure what they're up to over there. They're dead next turn either way. I would like to mill them a little more and try to figure out what's in this deck too. So they have some sort of large aura that they put onto a creature somehow. It could be a Colossification or a Eldrazi Conscription. I'm going to want Thoughtseize against this deck. Mystical Dispute seems likely. I mean, even if the cards aren't blue, they're still like the Academy Researchers or whatever that card is called is a blue card. All right, Bloodchief's Thirst seems like it's not going to be great. Into the Story is important. Cling to Dust, maybe, though. Like we saw old Pyromancer that can operate out of the graveyard, but mostly whatever. And I guess I'll cut an Into the Story against the combo deck. Like I don't know if I'll have time to cast that. Wait, That's a better argument to cut Bitter Blossom than it is to cut Into the Story. Okay, so Surgical might be good, Aether Gust might be good. We don't actually know what's going on yet. We just know that they're trying to put some sort of fancy aura onto a creature. This is not the most exciting hand, but it does function. Is a functional hand enough? I'm gonna keep. Like, whatever my opponent's doing, it seems to have a pretty high fail rate. And if I just keep a hand that can execute a game plan while theirs doesn't, I feel like I'm advantaged. Though if I just get like shit murdered immediately, then it sucks to be me. Right, Archmage Charm is good. It is both a hard counter and it can steal this Giver of Runes if I ever want it. I'm gonna play Bitter Blossom on turn 2 instead of holding up Thought Thief. Unless I draw something that might matter. I'm so fascinated. I hope they get to go off at least once, or that I mill something, or I mill enough cards that I know what they're actually doing. Like, Chart a Course usually isn't just in normal decks. That's in decks that want to discard cards. So maybe the Graveyard Hate should have come in. Okay, it is Eldrazi Conscription. Alright, Cavern. I figured they would have that. Most of the things that we milled last game were humans. Oh. Insolent Neonate. Oh, another Eldrazi Conscription? Something crazy's going on over here. And the only creature they have to put their conscription on is this 1 drop though that I can steal with Archmage Charm. And I can't counter the creature. So I guess if they play the Academy Researchers. Oh, but they named a vampire with Cavern. Just casting Merchant of the Veil. Okay. I'm gonna steal Giver. Because I'm untapping into Cryptic Command, so it's not like I'm giving up my counterspell, and now I'm turning on removal spells. And I'll play the Polluted Delta so I can fetch Mystic Sanctuary and get back Archmage Charm. And if they just don't do anything, I'll play Thought Thief. Alright, I feel pretty good here, unless they have a vampire that is their combo somehow. Alright, yeah, they're just conceding. Okay, so we had 2 great draws against a deck that hit its own fail rate. And on to the final round, where we determine if we can salvage the 3-2 from the jaws of O2 Shame. So I'm on the draw here with a hand of Removal Spell into Bitter Blossom. I'm going to keep this. Like it has plenty of lands. We're set up there. Yeah, turns out they are a creature deck, which is a relief. None of these can produce basic swamp, so I guess I just have to get this Watery Grave into play. into the story. Great draw for a hand like this that needs something. I hope they don't cast like Idle onto the Great Revel. But the Prowess decks can't play that card because they'll just die to it. Yeah, Sprite Dragon. Bitter Blossom can put that into chump mode. Though it is definitely dangerous playing Bitter Blossom against the Prowess deck. So there's a card in Alpha called Force Field where you can pay mana to make an attacking creature deal 1 damage instead of how much damage it would have dealt otherwise, and Bitter Blossom is about to do a Force Field impression on this Sprite Dragon for the rest of this game. Wow, no spells. Maybe their hand is just bad, or maybe they're going to play out 3 creatures right now. Just jam 3 1-drops. Okay, light up the stage is a reason. Swift Spear is pretty good. But it has haste, so they don't even need to do that. Oh god, Stormwing Entity. Okay, okay. Everything I said was a lie about their hand maybe not being good. Their hand was excellent. This is a 5-drop that you can play for 2 mana. It just like completely dodges Fatal Push. Even Revolted Fatal Push doesn't kill that. I still want to draw Fatal Push though. Cling to Dust. So that can draw cards or gain life as needed. I'm going to draw a card off it right now. Exile Light Up the Stage because that feeds Bedlam Reveler. Alright, none of that was great. This also has prowess, right? Yep. Biggest creature on the planet. So I can get to a point where I can Mystic Sanctuary my Bloodchief Thirst back and cast it with Kicker to kill Stormwing Entity, but then I'm still facing down this Swift Spear and Sprite Dragon plus whatever these other 3 cards in their hand are. These prowess decks are very powerful. If they Lightning Bolt Fairy Rogue, I might just be dead on board. Oh god, Vapor Snag, that's so much worse. So, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, I'm at 2. Yeah, I'm dead. There's no coming back from that. All right, Bitter Blossom, pretty bad here. Aether Gust coming in. Bloodsheath Thirst coming in. Bitter Blossom is a huge liability. The problem is that this deck's not very good at winning the game without Bitter Blossom. But I guess if I just control them enough and mill them out into the story to take over, yeah, that's probably fine. And I can bring in Mystical Dispute. I guess that does hit Sprite Dragon and the Stormwing entity, whatever that card's called. Stormwind? Stormwing? I don't know. Fatal Push, great. Cling to Dust, not so great. Like I said, Bedlam Reveler does care about their graveyard a little, but I think all of these cards are much better. You can also just Aether Gust Bedlam Reveler. Need all my creatures, all my removal. Spell Snare hits at least Sprite Dragon. Cryptic Command is kind of the end game I need. Like the tap bounce Mystic Sanctuary loop is one of the ways you can beat this deck. Maybe Force of Negation is the worst card left. Because most of the things I care about are creatures. And like I could force a Light Up the Stage. But in general, that's not really what I want to be doing. Okay. This is, I think, the best deck I can present. This has a number of interactive spells starting on turn 2, and I am on the play. I think this hand is a mulligan on the draw. It might be a mulligan on the play too, but I am going to keep it. There's enough interaction here that I'm into it. It does need some lands. Alright, Soul Scar Mage. That one doesn't have haste. Okay, so I could just kill this. That makes a lot of sense, actually. I'm just going to knock that out. Removing their creature turns off a spectacle source for light up the stage, and turns off. I guess it doesn't do anything for Storming Entity. That cares if you cast spells this turn. Alright, so they had to Lava Dart me to turn on their light up the stage. So that was definitely feel good about that play. Don't feel good about missing this land drop. But hitting 2 lands off light up the stage when you've already made your land drop is rough. For them. I don't feel bad about it, but it is rough for them. Also, they have so many cards in their graveyard now. Drown in the Lock is a full banger. I probably should have snapped in Snapcaster in the end step. One thing I do have to watch out for is that they can flashback Lava Dart at instant speed and change the number of cards in their graveyard. But that won't matter for long. And if they bolt this, that's fine. That's a bolt that didn't go to my face. Yep. Just feel for the Luris later. Ugh. Lands. Lands. Yeah, so they're kind of, their graveyard is very full right now, so this Drown in the Lock's gonna be good, basically no matter what. It can even get a Storming Entity, which is probably what they're doing here. Yeah, they have 6 cards in their graveyard, even if they flashback Lava Dart. Oh, Lava Dart doesn't actually change the number of cards in your graveyard because it gets exiled, but the mountain still goes to the graveyard. So we're pretty safe here, unless they have some sort of exile your own graveyard spell. Which I'm not sure why it would be in the deck. Oh, sweet relief. So they are at the Magic 7 for End of the Story. Though at this point, End of the Story would just end up discarding 3 cards to hand size. I'm gonna let them have this. Like, I could Aether Gust that to deny them the Stormwing Entity. This looks like they're setting up a Bedlam Reveler more, though. And I can Gust Bedlam Reveler this turn, and then Archmage's Charm it on the way back down next turn. And someday I'll hit a land drop and I can Snapcaster all my spells back, and then we're just good. Stormwing Entity. That's the one I cannot defeat with my hand. If I draw a land, I can snap drown it. And someday that'll happen. Land? Nope. Why? Why would it be a land? So I guess I just have to hope that they can't kill me outright with prowess all this turn. Alright, they can have that. I can steal it if I want it. I'm going to let them attack. If control of a permanent changes in combat, it leaves combat. And it can't block anyway, so there's not really a reason. So it looks like they're just going to damage, which makes me think they have light up the stage. Yeah, I think I can afford to take 1 damage here to make sure they don't get to light up the stage. Or they just had nothing, that's cool too. Yeah, I'll steal this. So I took 1 damage for what seems like no reason, but I bet they do have a bunch of instants in their hand, and they were just didn't want to deploy them. Because if they just like spewed off 3 lightning bolts that were not lethal, and I just like Doomblade their entity, that's kind of embarrassing. Guess I should attack. I'd leave it back to block haste creatures. Maybe I should have just drawn 2 cards with Archmage Charm. That's probably just way better use of my resources. Mutagenic growth, huh? So that's 6. Alright, I'm at 9. Now I'm dead to 3 lightning bolts. That's pretty scary. Alright, I'm gonna run out this blocker. If they just have 3 lightning bolts, I'm dead, whatever. I mean, it has to be actual lightning bolt. And they've already played 1. Though the way they've played, they didn't play a land. They didn't play a land or any creatures, so their hand has to be just 3 spells. How about a land deck? You're fucking killing me, deck. Killing me. I guess I should attack with my Swift Spear. Okay. I believe this game would have ended with the 4th land at any point, but instead we're still playing. Burst Lightning targeting this thing. That does 2 damage. They have the Lava Dart in the graveyard. So I could Aether Gust Lava Dart. It still gets exiled. It doesn't go to the top of the deck. Oh, another Lava Dart. Does that one kills me? So they attack for 6, 7, 8. They can put me to 1. And if their hand is a spell, I'm dead. And even if their hand's not a spell, I'm dead to any subsequent lightning bolt. God, that sucked. Just missed my land drop for another lava dart. Yep, that'll do it. Yeah, so it's turn 9. I missed my land drop for 6 turns and died for it when this game would have been pretty easy to control otherwise. All right. So that was a study in Mana Screw, but you can see how that matchup would normally play out. So this deck, there were some cool lines we had. This is probably better than like actual Faeries. I don't agree with Zach Allen that this is the worst modern deck I've ever played, though. If you compare it to the format in general, the problem with being a tricksy blue deck is that opponents are doing things like Monastery Swiftspear and Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. So like trying to operate in a space where you're like a tempo aggro control deck in a format with some of the best aggro and some of the best control and mid-range options there's ever been, uh, just might be a fundamental mistake. Though I do think this deck is pretty cool if you insist on playing a tricksy blue tempo deck. The the threats are not particularly threatening, is one thing I noticed. Also, a lot of decks use their graveyards as a resource, in one way or another. Like even the prowess deck has lava darts in it, and probably has Bedlam Reveler in the 75. And then there's the Uro decks, and the Mystic Sanctuary decks, and the Tron deck that we played against had Academy Ruins, and we played against Aluris Mirror. So incidental mill in Modern is not free. It has like a real cost to it. So that might be like sort of a tiebreaker to just play Faeries if you want to play this kind of deck. So this is not what I would be doing in Modern if I wanted to win a Grand Prix, but it is a lot of fun. And if you enjoy these small ball, like nickel and dime, tiny incremental edges, play perfectly to get your wins out sort of decks, this could be something for you. So, Dave, thanks for the list. Thanks for the donation. If you want me to play your deck, just get in contact with me. My contact info is in the video description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.